Montaro asks, was Charlie Cox obligated by contract or something to be is She-Hulk? To be in She-Hulk,
yes. Yes. The answer to that question is a resounding yes.
But they didn't have to use him if they didn't want to.
We do not know the details of Charlie Cox's contract, but generally the Marvel contracts, they work like this. The actors, they are cast for a set number of movies or TV series, depending on what they're hired for, and for a set number of cameo appearances. Now, this is in their contract, which means that as long as they are under that contract, then Marvel can dictate that, okay, you owe us, say, 3 cameo appearances. We need one of those cameo appearances now. And that's obviously what they did with Charlie Cox. So, say for instance that he owes them 3 seasons of a Daredevil series, plus he owes them, and I'm just making this up, plus 3 cameo appearances. Then that would be 1 cameo appearance in Spider-Man No Way Home, another cameo appearance in She-Hulk, and 1 more to be decided. And that is for Marvel to decide. And that would be pretty sweet if he were to do a cameo here. But yeah. But anyway, and he does not get a choice in that matter. Then he's under contract. He has signed that contract, and that means if they want to have him bang She-Hulk and do the walk of the shame the morning after, then he has no say in that matter or no right to object to it. He's under contract, and if he wants to be back as Daredevil in any capacity, that is something he's going to have to accept.
There you go. And I think, I don't know if you kind of mentioned it in all that, but yeah, basically, if Disney doesn't want to use him, though, then they don't have to. That's kind of how the contracts go. But they knew he was popular. So.
They also had a limited number of characters they could use for She-Hulk. They couldn't just pull out Spider-Man or some of the other characters.
That's true.
That are in the comic books, right? So,
and also, Matt Murdock is a lawyer,
right? So it makes sense. Yeah.
And they used him fairly well in that She-Hulk show, notwithstanding different jurisdictions between California and New York, which I won't get into. But yeah, there were enjoyable moments. I actually like the fact that She-Hulk, humped the Daredevil. I thought he's a suitable partner in the sack.
I have to say, after seeing that episode, I know many people are pissed and all that, but I will say that up until this episode, every single new episode of She-Hulk has been worse than the previous episode of She-Hulk. Which means that every episode of She-Hulk has been the worst episode of She-Hulk. This one bucked the trend.
I agree.
I don't know if this was the best episode of She-Hulk, but if it wasn't, no, actually, I do think this was the best episode, as in the least bad one. And I was so relieved. Because going in, I was like thinking, God, I've seen what they've done to all the other cameos. I've seen what they've done to Wong. What the hell are they going to do to Daredevil? So when he showed up, I was like, oh, God, no, here we go. Brace yourself. Just brace yourself. It's going to be fine. It's not going to be fine for Matt Murdock, but it's going to be fine for you. You can just switch it off afterwards. And I was like, that was it? Oh, that wasn't so bad. Oh, thank God. We got away relatively unscathed.
Are we now officially talking She-Hulk? Because I got lots to say.
Likewise. Yeah, I think we are officially talking She-Hulk now. And so yeah, I just have to say I was really, really relieved after the episode, because his appearance could have been so much worse. So I was like, oh, bullet dodged.
It was the best part. It was the best part in the show.
It absolutely was.
Well, I still haven't watched She-Hulk since past the 3rd episode. I did see the clip in question that we're going to talk about today, and I did see the Walk of Shame, and I posted it on Twitter yesterday that I'm like 22 Jump Street called and wants its fucking joke back. I mean, come on.
I didn't care. I mean, who cares?
I didn't mind. So I was like thinking, well, at least he got some.
Why is he holding his boots? I mean, those boots are comfortable. That's The whole point of the walk of shame with holding onto your heels is that they're not comfortable.
I think he wanted to walk on the grass, because I was thinking that too. I was like, what the hell is he walking barefoot? I mean, this is LA, right? It's going to be a syringe or something. But I think the point was that he's walking in the grass because he wasn't walking on the road. Maybe he just wanted to feel grass under his feet, which apparently isn't all that good for you.
I didn't
but
quite
I guess
understand.
the writers don't know that.
Or is that what men do when they want to sneak out of a woman's pad when they've had sex? Was that?
I don't even think Daredevil would have to do
but that's
that.
what the women in this writer's room think that they do. That every single man who woke up next to them and decided, yikes, she looked better last night, so I'm going to get the hell out of here. That's probably how the women in that writer's room imagined that the men who escaped from them the day afterwards walked out of there.
There were bigger problems with the show than that, but I actually like their relationship. That in many ways, it worked in the same way that the what's Book's name in the comic books, the lawyer, Book, who's played by a black woman in the TV show. In the comics that I read, Jennifer's partner at the law firm is not this crazy secretary that she's got. It's this other lawyer, and they're on equal footing, and they work really well together. And not only can they talk legalese with each other and work on cases together, they also talk girl talk with each other. And I really enjoyed it in the comic books, which they didn't include in the TV series, which I didn't understand.
But hey, you got Fran Drescher. That's something.
They have Fran Drescher instead, and she's completely meaningless in the TV series. She drove me absolutely nuts. But I just enjoyed her interaction with Cox playing, both the lawyer. I didn't like the moment where she turned to the camera and went, "What an asshole!" Like, I don't understand the writers constantly trying to undermine, Jen's character. She's they try to make her unlikable. They try to make her, boy crazy, not able to control herself around men that she thinks is attractive. Like, there's just so many aspects to.
It's the writers writing themselves into this character.
Why would they do that? Why?
Because that's how they. Because that's the only way that they. Yeah. Not so much that too. I mean, you probably write script. Well, it's because that's how they are, right? And they don't know how to write people genuinely any other fucking way. But they don't know how to put themselves in any other shoes.
It's so pathetic. Why?
Because they are fucking pathetic. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Also, Paul, I have to say something, because you said, why are they writing her to be so unlikable? I don't think they're trying
because they are unlikable.
I think that they write her the way that they are themselves. I think that they genuinely think. I think that they are so deluded and subject to such groupthink that they honestly think that Jen Walters, as she is portrayed, is a likable character that every woman watching the show will recognize themselves in, and they will recognize themselves in all the joke because they are that far up their own ass. And I think that the women writing this, if you were to meet many of them, you'd see a lot of Jen Walters in them. I don't think that they mean to make her unwritable. I think that they probably think that she's relatable and likable because they
funny
are
and sassy.
That detached.
She seems to be a parody of women that gay male writers would write.
Yeah.
That's how.
Yeah, I just have to read some comments here. Tom, can you bring this member chat back up afterwards?
As long as it hasn't been, yeah, we should be good.
Okay, perfect. I just want to highlight some comments here
because
Rory Mitchell says, yes, Andre is right. They are that out of touch with the general audience. It's a circle jerk of epic proportions. And same thing here with Black Lives or Black Votes. Yeah. Go Brandon, I guess. Yep, they actually think they are 10 out of 10. The SheHulk writers are literal psychos. Now, in the most daily jargon you can imagine, which is no way is medically accurate, that you just dismiss someone as that, then yeah, I think so too. I really think that these women literally are what Jen has been written as.
That's what I was saying. That they're writing themselves because they think that's what's relatable.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what's going on here.
It's just, to me, it speaks to the fact that the latest version of feminism is essentially making women just miserable in who they are daily.
Well, why do you think the dating world is all fucked up culture? I mean, I know you are not in it anymore, but that's the thing.
That's why.
That's the problem, is they actually created this culture with this promiscuous behavior. I'm not going to get into the moralized side of this thing, but it's, you create the hookup culture that got created. You devalue yourself in that culture, and because of it, you are an adult person acting like a 15-year-old girl, like Paul just said, this boy crazy weird shit that makes no sense in a 30-something-year-old woman.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but she's now banged 3 men over the course of what?
8 episodes. Yeah.
Which is a new record or something?
But only once as She-Hulk. You have to remember that. 2 times as Jen Walters.
Right. I don't know that makes it better or worse.
It's better for the guy because he's not going to die.
The comics do portray her as very promiscuous.
Yes, that is true.
But not in. Well, wait a minute. I don't remember that from Burns' run. We're talking about.
No.
Oh yeah.
Dan,
yeah,
really? Burns and Dan's run.
But the difference is that character is likable.
That was flirty. I don't know that it was promiscuous.
Well, regardless, the difference there, though, and this is one of the reasons she's such a popular character, is that she's a likable, flirty. People like her. Men like her.
She's a hard partier, and she spent her real non-Jen life. She preferred to spend her life as She-Hulk.
Yeah.
And in the comics, the law firm actually flipped it and said, no, at the firm you got to be like Jen, which made her grumbly because she preferred being She-Hulk most of her time, which created a very different dynamic from the TV show, which I don't want to get into.
Right.
No, but you're saying it is true. That's where they fundamentally lose this idea. And this is another reason why all the men are unlikable on the show. And this goes right back to what Andre and I were just saying, is that they're used to interacting with men, treating them this way because they are insufferable bitches.
And also, they reject any man who wouldn't treat them
exactly.
This is who she goes for. And again, I think it may have been unintended, but this is what we saw when She-Hulk was going on Tinder. She swiped away probably 100 men that would have been a perfect match, and then she went for the single greatest asshole she possibly could find, but he was hot. He was the player, so she was the one who she went for.
And this is the other thing that I haven't really seen these episodes, but I can tell you right now, just from real life perspective, if she's supposed to be in her 30s, she should be smarter than that. It's like these writers are emotionally fucking stunted at this point.
Well, absolutely. I know a number of females that are actors and writers in the Greater Toronto area, in Vancouver, in LA. They still act like they're 18. They're wondering why they can't find a good guy. And whenever they ask me, I'm like, well, you're a pain in the ass as a person. I just tell them flat out, because I've had more relationships than they have that have lasted longer. And these are not like ugly women. No. They're like 8 to 10s, like gorgeous ladies. They just aren't very smart, and they don't work on themselves intellectually or personality wise.
It's even worse for the good looking women. I do want to point out that this is a dais of men. I do want to point that out. Script is absolutely right from the socio sexual perspective, but the other clue where the show shows just how evil it is that in the comic books, Jen is defending. So Jen is doing the defending almost all the time, or with Book together. And she's defending real heroic superheroes in a bind. In the show, it's always dickheads and assholes that somehow the firm forces on Jen and crew, whatever, to defend. Like, it's completely the wrong thing to be doing. It's uninteresting to have that leapfrogger guy who's a complete jerk, and she's forced to defend him because his father is so wealthy, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Like the oldest.
But don't you see this as a statement on patriarchy?
No, I get it. But
Yeah.
it makes the show and that's what I mean, is that is a really salient clue as to how these writers think about men and the show and the legal system. They're crapping on everything they don't like. So the show becomes irrelevant if all she's doing is defending assholes. That's not interesting.
Yeah, there's no sense of justice in defending assholes. It's basically you got to defend the underdog. And they're never giving her an underdog. They literally gave her a client who is a rich guy who decided to become a superhero essentially because he's not getting the attention he used to get as being a rich guy.
Right. And that they missed a great joke too. He when he was confronting the guy stealing the TV set, he said, what was it? I'm
the guard frog or something?
Yeah, he should have said, I'm the guard frogger.
Yeah.
There's a joke. It was right there for the picking up. I'm the guard frogger. And then anyway, never mind.
Well, as I said, I haven't seen the show myself, but this whole thing just sounds to me like it's these writers that are emotionally stunted. This is how they view the world as women. And it's not fair to women. I was
embarrassed for women.
If
I had a daughter, I would say, don't ever act like this person.
and curiously enough, the people who have interacted with me online through social media, I get the sense that regular straight women really hate the show. And I've had my biggest arguments with gay creative writers in Hollywood over the show who love it. Gay men. Love the show. Don't know why.
Gay men supposed to have taste?
I mean,
I say gay men do tend to laugh at catty bitches, though, so that may be something.
I'm not going to judge on that basis. I'm just telling you that those are where my conversations are.
I can see it for some weird reason, but not for the reasons we would probably think, or not for a good reason, right? Like, anyway.
This was the better episode because even in the court side of things, which was really off, they at least had the better arguments for what would be in a court.
Right.
But so much stuff happened that's like none of that would be admissible because they have to be on the stand to have a deposition. It's like they can't have the conversation.
Why?
Somebody explain the plot to me, and this is the first plot that sounded like one of the plots we had come up with here on the morning show.
And why was the designer creating suits that made someone super? Okay, so that was never set up earlier. It's kind of a dumb thing. And also
supposed to be protective and fashionable. But the claim was not the malfunctioning of the boots. The claim was it's supposed to be a fireproof suit, and it caught fire.
Yeah, but it was also really stupid looking for someone who's supposed to be at the top of his game.
That's also true.
Let's not even get into the Daredevil suit with that disgusting yellow on it. That was supposed
should have been more gold.
Yeah, like what a downgrade compared to the Netflix version.
It was so they could set up the joke, ketchup and mustard. Come on, guys.
I don't know. To me, he looked more like all the fucking old encyclopedias on my grandma's shelf. But the golden.
I will say this though, like the actual like the cowl was basically pulled right off the set from the first Daredevil season. But the bodysuit themselves, they put like a bulky vest on them. They kind of messed up all the dynamic. It should have been like. Because I'm a fan of like the gold and black suit from the original release because I think it's cool, it's dynamic, it's different. The solid red is all right, but it's kind of boring. Doesn't have much contrast.
Yeah,
I was hoping we'd get something like that in here, but it's like we got yellow and red, and it's bulky and it doesn't look very functional. But again, the cowl's the best part of that.
Yeah.
So
well, I've always been a fan of just the black suit, or when he just because that would make the most sense.
And it also looks the best. I agree. Like I get it. I get that this yellow suit that is more in line with the original comic suit that he first had in the.
But that's my thing is he's going to stand out like a sore thumb in the middle of the night.
It looks like shit. Let's be honest. And the red suit is so much better than that. But best of all, I agree with you, Tom, the black suit. the black suit as seen in the the year one comic or whatever it's called. Plus, lest we forget, I do believe the first time the black suit made an appearance was in the made-for-TV movie Side Door Pilot. Exactly. And like Daredevil, he just has a straight-up black suit there. He looks.
It's just like his suit in the and then when he has the black suit in the Netflix, it's almost.
I was so happy in season 3 when he got the black suit back again because he looks so much better in it.
So I've got a rabbit hole that I wanted to take you guys down just very briefly on She-Hulk.
Okay.
Because we're all talking about how bad the producers are on so many of these shows. Where's the experienced people? And then there's Daredevil, which I think we'll all agree, season 1 especially, was maybe the finest superhero experience.
One of the best Marvel content ever made.
Of all time.
It was. It has a very ironic plot to it as well.
And Jessica Jones for season 2 was spectacular also, in my opinion. So I thought, okay, who was it? Who did? Did you guys know who did Daredevil?
Stephen S. Knight.
Yeah,
no,
Stephen S. Knight. He was. He didn't finish it, but he was the one who set the tone. He was the one who did the script, and someone else.
Oh no, I've got Drew Goddard here.
Maybe it was Goddard then. It was Drew Goddard. He was the one who set the tone. Then Stephen S. Knight came in and he completed the work because there was a change in showrunner before season 1 of Daredevil. So yeah, I think it might have been Goddard that was there first, and he did the first draft of the scripts. He kind of set the tone, and then Stephen S. Knight came in, and he completed it, set his stamp on it, and he was the one.
So he's got an executive producer credit for 39 episodes. He is a J.J. Abrams acolyte. He worked on Lost, produced it, wrote it. He actually wrote the script for Martian, the movie.
Yeah, well, even from there, okay, like you know how you say like even a broken clock is like right twice a day. Same thing with the J.J. Abrams School of Filmmaking. Sometimes some genuine talent who isn't just a politician will get out of there.
Well, this guy
I do believe that this guy, he also did what's the
Angel,
the
Alias
series,
Cloverfield, Lost.
He was
Spartacus.
He was also one of Tommy Scott friends.
So, you know, why didn't Disney hire this guy to do She-Hulk?
I have no idea.
Now, the thing is, it was the ladies
because he's got a penis.
Well,
no, he's too expensive because his last hit show was The Good Place, and that did really well.
That was a fantastic show.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed The Good Place. The guy's talented. He's clearly talented. Now, obviously, I mean, I think She-Hulk was pitched by Gao to Marvel, so that's why they got to do it. I don't think they were looking for showrunners or whatever, but I think she pitched the show to them as a show.
They sent out an assignment call, but it was an in-house, so she was already with them, because they were planning to do. They did an assignment call for She-Hulk, Ghost Rider, another couple of other lower tier characters. But I remember She-Hulk and Ghost Rider were open assignment calls, but they were in-house at Disney. And Jessica Gao was brought on earlier as part of the team because Kevin Feige was just plucking people up from the Rick and Morty writers' room, and she was one of them.
Right. Yep.
And I think that that was the one that was most appealing to her. She pitched it and had the best out of the bunch, or at least the ones that the powers that be liked the best.
Right.
Yeah.
So there you go. I guess Goddard is just too expensive to bring on board.
And experience. That's the other part too. Like when you take a look at some of the writers that are coming in for these IPs, the credited stuff they have is a little slim. Even though I know some of them have been in the industry for like a decade, and you're like, oh, well, that's kind of suspect. But I think it has to do with the fact that a person with not a whole lot of accolades on their resume is a lot easier to manipulate and mold than a person that has built a huge success and doesn't really need the support of an executive producer or studio to make another show or to make another project.
I agree. Anyway, there's my rabbit. There's my rabbit hole.
I do wish that Marvel would have gotten Stephen S. Knight back for their own Daredevil series, because I don't recall exactly who they have scheduled and lined up to do their own Daredevil series. But I remember when I learned the names, I was very far from impressed.
Well, they're pretty good at that, aren't they?
Not impressing. Yeah, they have gotten very good at that, which is funny because just a few years ago, I mean, no matter how high your expectations were, they would find some way to come in over those expectations. Certainly was the case with like season 1 of Daredevil, and lately, like the opposite is true. You turn down your expectations; they're still not low enough.
Yeah. They're doing a good job of that.
What I think we're seeing is just executives have found that the magic formula where they can create stories without actually having to write stories. They found a proxy to do it, and the stuff that they come up with is terrible. And the writers that are either, maybe if they are talented, they're doing their best to try and execute those bad ideas so that they can keep their job. And some of them might have drunk the Kool-Aid and are in full all the way, and some are not. I think the writer of this episode was more on the tier that they didn't buy into the agenda, but they're just trying to do the best they could with what restrictions they had, because Matt Murdock was very charming in this episode.
Totally. I'm glad they banged. They deserved each other, and this, I believe, it was the best episode of the series to date.
I agree, and I will also say that unlike her previous love interest, like for instance with this guy in the wedding, I saw no real chemistry between them.
No.
But maybe it's a testament to Charlie Cox's skill as an actor. But I felt that there was like a genuine connection between Charlie Cox's Matt Murdock and Jen Walters' She-Hulk. It was like a genuine chemistry there.
Absolutely. I thought that was marvelous. One of the main problems with She-Hulk is you never want to see the writing. And what I mean by that is the hand of God. You don't want to see it, and you just see it all over the place. And the guy who banged her to get her blood, wow, that's just unbelievably ham-handed manipulation.
And I'm still not convinced it was her blood that he get, and not some other bodily liquid. That they had sex.
Maybe they just wanted her ancestry DNA info. They're sending it in to find out.
Follicle.
whether she's Croatian or not, or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. Who knows?
We don't know. You're right.
Yeah, I mean,
you're right, Paul. You don't want to see the writer's hand in your content. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree. And this last show, especially after Murdoch left, then they had that stupid ballroom thing, and then they had the joke where she wasn't the only woman who was nominated for Woman of the Year. It was a whole bunch of women from law firms. Yeah. And the fact is, the show has not demonstrated at all that she even deserved to be even nominated, which, who cares?
Quite the contrary. To me, she seems like an amateurish lawyer.
Yes, a very bad lawyer. In the comics, she's great.
Yes.
And boy, the stories and twists are really well done in the comics. And there's some great moments. There's one moment where she's just really tired. She's pissed off. She's She-Hulk at the bar, and a Mr. Freeze kind of character comes in and wants to pay her back for what she did to him. And he shoots her with the freeze ray. She gets covered in blocks of ice, and she just turns around, flexes her muscles, smashes the ice, and she's just looking at him. And the freeze guy is going, is this the moment where you're going to come and beat the living tar out of me and throw me into jail? She said, no, I need a drinking partner. You want a drink? He goes, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So here was an enemy of hers that she just was not in the mood to do the She-Hulk thing. She just needed a drinking partner. And then they drank together and they talked. And I thought,
but gentlemen, we have a lot of super chats here, and we have more to talk about. Because a big thing about this episode of She-Hulk is, of course, the Doomcock tie-in.
Yes.
Now, before we get to that, I'm just going to run through a few of the the She-Hulk centric super chats that we have. So everyone relax. We'll get to your super chats. We're just going to take these ones out of order while we are on the topic, run through a few of them, and then we'll get into Doomcock here. Callum Lyle says for $2, Chato, we would write a better She-Hulk story.
I think
agree
so.
I think so too. And also on that note, Miguel Farah says for 1,000 Chilean pesos. Canoehead, save She-Hulk from villainous writers.
That is correct.
Absolutely. And then let's see the next one we have right here. Just have to flop through.
If She-Hulk needed a unknown superhero to defend, then Canoehead would have been hilarious.
Yeah, but they'll probably ask for like him to have a sidekick, like Kid Kayak or something.
Kid Kayak, a punt boy.
Punt boy, yeah.
And Callum Lyle also said for $2 She-Hulk's love interest is called Wyatt Wingfoot. That's
yes, a 6 foot Native American.
Oh well, there you go. There you
In
go.
Any of the comics I read, but
yeah. And then we have Marksman of 117B says for $4.99, Daredevil hooking up with She-Hulk is fine. It's canon, in fact. But why the walk of shame? What was shameful about their hookup? What are they saying?
Yeah, it didn't make sense.
Yeah. It's women putting down men.
Well, it was partially, I get they're just trying to do the cheap joke, but like I said, 22 Jump Street already did it. And in the context of it, it's not funny, probably, because of the way it pans out. In 22 Jump Street, it works, because she, like, literally kicks his ass out of the fucking room. Like, that's why he's walking home in shame, yeah.
I've seen some very impressive walks of shames when I spent a brief time in New York City, especially on Manhattan Island. Like, I've seen women, like, completely naked with only one high heel walking through the walk of shame and just don't even care. Like, nobody goes near them. They've got a look on their face like, don't touch me, don't go anywhere near me, and everybody just kind of spreads away and lets them go. It's like, that is some serious gravitas that's having. And here I was just at the little Roy's Pizza Ray's Pizza coming out, and I was like, oh my god, there's a naked woman.
Somebody's wife came home.
Somebody's wife came home, or someone just left. I mean, it was only a few blocks away from like one of the fancier hotels, so who knows what it was. But I'm like, that was weird, and the fact that no one else reacted to it but me made me see that this was kind of a normal thing in certain parts of New York.